Good morning.
Good morning. Hi,
How
good
are y'all
morning.
today? Oh, I see a
Good.
red cat. Hey, good morning. So,
Good morning.
good morning, Sue.
Morning.
How are y'all today? Yeah,
Good.
pretty good. It's not too early, right? It could be worse.
Good.
Could be 8 o'clock class. At least you're at home and we're not, you didn't have to go to campus. Okay, so we have a lot to do today. I want to try and cover quite a bit. I want to do a bit of a review of what we covered on Tuesday, the multi-page website, and with one small addition or two. And then I want to jump into something else that's sort of an expansion of what we've learned a little bit about div tags and IDs. Okay, somebody's here. Okay. All right. So to start out, I'd like for you to find four large images, like we did on Tuesday, and put those into your images folder. Make sure you simplify the names instead of having long, drawn out names. Okay, so four images, put those in your images folder. And I'll prepare myself. Also prepare your folder system, right? You need the main folder, you need the images folder, the CSS folder, the HTML folder. And I'll do the same. So the typical scheme that we've been working with, right, where we have the main folder, which I've called tutorial 4. And then inside of that, CSS, HTML images. And I've copied and pasted the template that I saved the other day. And I'm just going to rename that to index, right? And then I can go ahead and open that up. Oops. And then in my images folder, I have 4 images. So you can see what I mean by how I repeat myself a lot in my classes. In these classes, we will go do this quite a bit more rapidly than we did on Tuesday. So do your best to keep up. But if you get behind, please make sure you let me know and say, hey, slow down, do that again, or what was that? Miss that. Mine's not looking like yours. That sort of thing. Okay. That's what we're here for. Not for me, for you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started with the code. Since this is something we've been doing now, this is our fourth time. You've done it more since you've had homework as well. So hopefully this code right here is pretty much and starting to be embedded in your brain a little bit, that you know what needs to be what we start out with, right? The initial code. We're going to add some more here. Now, sometimes in the wrapper, where all the content goes, right? That's where all the images and all the text and stuff goes. Sometimes we segment that into multiple other sections, right? So the wrapper is the main box that everything belongs in, but then sometimes we put other boxes inside of that to divide things up. Remember, the metaphor I used last week was a kind of bento box, right? Where you have the main box and then each thing has its own little box. So we're going to divide it into two sections today, or in this exercise anyway. We're going to divide it into two sections. The first section, they're going to be, each section is created as another pair of div tags. The first section is going to be called the menu. And then the next section, the one below it, we're going to let's call this main. So we have the menu inside the wrapper, and right below that we have main. So you can already start to see, maybe just by the names that I've given these, how I'm dividing up content, right? Like the first part of the content is just essentially how we're going to navigate the pages that we're about to create. And then the second section is where all the content belongs, right? The stuff, the web page, the images and text. Now, again, that doesn't really change the appearance just yet, right? Nothing happens. That's because we don't have any content yet, or CSS. Okay, let's start with the main. I'm going to place my cursor between the div tags with the ID main. And same stuff we've been doing. I'm going to put an H1 tag here. I have a bunch of images of trees and forests, so let's call it trees and forests. So creative. And a subheading. And I want to create a couple paragraphs here as filler. So the P tag, and then I'm going to go to the Lorem Ipsum site and get some dummy text. Copy and paste that. Now get a second one. So two paragraphs there, right? We have the primary heading, the secondary heading, and then the first paragraph and the second paragraph. You can separate those by spaces. Maybe that'll make it a little easier to read. By the way, I think it's, yeah, in the view menu, for a Mac anyway, in the view menu of Sublime Text, if you choose word wrap, that'll make the everything, instead of everything, if I don't have word wrap selected here, then everything is on this one line and you have to scroll all the way to the end, which is really irritating to me. So I prefer to go to the view menu and choose word wrap so that it makes blocks of text like this. Okay. Y'all doing okay? Am I going too fast?
Okay.
Okay. All right. So again, as a bit of a reminder, there's a few tags that we call inline tags that we can use in the text. And so I'm going to make these first two words bold. So I'm going to use the strong tag for that. Right in front of it and right after it, right? So that'll make those two words, lorem ipsum, bold. And we can see it right here. They've become bold now. Let's say, I don't know, how about, let's see, what's a funny sounding word? Portitor, that's kind of funny. Portitor. We're going to make portitor italicized. So I'll use the EM tag for that. Right. There's the opening EM tag and the closing EM tag. And then I go over here and there it is. Portitor is now italicized. And so let's then do both italics and bold. So let's say, I don't know, this sentence here in the second paragraph, I'm going to make both italics and bold. So it doesn't matter which one I begin with. It could be EM or strong. Let's say I start out with EM and then strong. What does matter, not which one you start with and end with here, but when you finish, right? That's where the order matters. It has to be the reverse order of this. So if I started out with EM and then ended with strong over here at the beginning, then at the end, it's the reverse order. So it's strong and then EM. So that will make that sentence both italicized and bold. Okay. One last little thing here inside the paragraph that we haven't done yet is, let's say, in addition to making the first two words here bold, I also want to turn that into a link, right? This is going to be a link, and I want to link it to the lorem ipsum site, right? So the first two words, which read lorem ipsum, are going to link to this site that we've been going to, lipsum.com. Okay, so that means I need the A tag, right? So once again, it doesn't matter which one I start with. If I have more than one inline tag in a row, so this is going to be both bold and the A tag. Here we have the italics and bold, right? It doesn't matter which one I put in the front and which one I put at the end. So let's say I start with strong, I'm going to do the A tag next. The A tag, remember, requires the href attribute. So I put href equals and then quotes. And then the URL for lipsum.com, which is http, I think it's S, most are S these days. Yeah, https://www.lipsum.com, close quotes, close bracket. Now, I started with the strong, then I have the A tag right here. That means afterwards I have to do the reverse order. So I have to start with the A tag here and then do strong at the end. So if I save that, then that turns lorem ipsum into a link. And it links to the lorem ipsum site. Check it, click on it, make sure it links properly. I just got a message. Good. Let me know if that doesn't work, or if it does work. Why don't you thumbs up if it works for you? All right, thank you, Cindy. Nick. So, thank you. Ishwan. Thank you. Thank you very much. So that's everybody, right? Okay, good. Now, one other thing here, though, to note is that and that I haven't mentioned yet before, is when you're linking to an external website, to somebody else's website, right? Not one of your own pages. So on Tuesday, we created a series of links that were our own pages, right? 2, 3, and 4. We'll do that today too. But here we have the lorem ipsum link here in our paragraph, but that's not one of our own pages, right? That's on somebody else's website. So since it's an external, what we would call an external link, right? A link that links to an external site. There's a subtle way to differentiate between internal links and external links. since this is an external website, we want to make it clear that we are linking to another site, to another website. And so one of the ways to do that is we put another attribute. So we have the A tag here. I'm in the A tag. And after I close the the quotation marks, I put a space, and then I'm going to add a second attribute, and that is target, Target. And then, just like other attributes, we put an equal sign and quotes. Inside the quotes, we want to put the underscore, the underline, and then the word blank. I'm sorry, it's right at the end of a line here. It's hard to see, but this is all my A tag. Target equals, and then in quotes, the underline and the word blank, like so. What that's going to do is when you click on the link, if you load in, if you save and reload, now it's automatically going to open up a new browser window. Just by clicking on the link, instead of opening in this window, it creates a brand new tab and opens in that. That's what that attribute does. Target equals blank, which is useful. That's one little way to distinguish between internal and external links. Your internal links, you don't do that, but external links, you do. And we can put a third one here, and that is alt. I'll show you what that does. We're going to put alt there, and we're going to put lipsum.com. Doesn't do it anymore. One of the things that used to do is when you moused over it, it would create a little box and show you what that says. I don't know why it doesn't do that anymore. In any case, it's no big deal. This is an old requirement that's still used. One of the things that it does is it helps search engines to pick up what you're linking to, other websites that you're linking to. It used to, if the link was broken, it would replace it with this text to tell you where the link was supposed to go. So that can be a useful attribute also for the A tag, especially if you're linking to external websites. But not required. Okay. There we go. So we have this page, the content in this page, at least in the main div, right? So this is all inside the main div here, right, that we just created. So I want to scroll up and go to the menu here, and we'll create our little menu. Even though we don't have all those pages yet, we're going to go ahead and create the links for the pages. So we're going to have the page that we're in now, right? Which I'm going to call home. We're going to have 4 other pages. So we're going to call those page 2, page 3, page 4, and page 5. And those are all going to be links. So I'll use the A tag for each one. Copy and paste, best friend. home is the index, right? Home is what I'm calling the index. I mean, because if I put index here, nobody's going to know what index is. I mean, we know what it is because we're coding the pages, but your users won't know what I mean, what is meant by index. But people are accustomed to seeing home, right? So home is a sort of the main page that you start with. So we'll just call page 1 or the index home. Now, when we link to it, we have to link to the index, right? So we're going to use the href here and link to the index, which is just linking to itself, index.html. We're linking to this page to itself. We don't have to tell it which folder to go into because it's the same folder. All the other pages, right? All those other pages, like on Tuesday, they're going to be saved in the HTML folder here when we make them. So we have to tell the browser to look in the HTML folder. So href equals HTML. I'm just going to call them page2.html and then page 3, 4, and 5. Oops. 3, 4, 5. So I have to remember that's what I'm going to be naming those pages, those files when I create them. So then I have, if I save and reload, I'll see the links here. They don't, only home is going to work. The other ones don't work yet because those pages don't exist. Page 2, 3, 4, and 5. But at least they're in the right place. Now, before I do the CSS, I'm going to go ahead and create those other pages. What I want you to do is to create those other pages. So the other pages, and I'll write this, let me create. All right, for your other pages, you're going to have, right, 4 more pages, right? 2, 3, 4, and 5. They're going to be in the HTML folder. You're going to need the same menu, right? The same menu. So menu with 5 links. You're going to need a primary heading and 1 image for each page. Okay. So I want you to go ahead and make those. I'll give you a few minutes to do that, and then I'll lead you through it. But I want you to try and see if you can do it on your own, as it's mainly copying and pasting, right? You'll need to make a few changes, but it's mainly copying and pasting. So for your other pages, pages 2, 3, 4, and 5, you'll need the menu at the top, just like we have here in the index. and you'll need a primary heading and an image in each of those pages. Okay. So let's say 10 minutes and see how far you can get in that. And, do thumbs up or something when you are able to do it. Send me a message when you're finished doing it. Excuse me. Hmm. Okay, I'm going to take y'all through this pretty quickly. So if I'm going to create additional web pages, I might as well, rather than type all that code again, might as well just use that template that I've saved as a starting point. So I'm going to go outside my folder and get the template, go back in my folder, and I'm going to paste it into the HTML folder. So there we go. I'll call this page2.html, and then I'll duplicate it and call it page3.html. And duplicate that. And call it page4.html. And one more time, page 5. Oops. All right, so there are my other pages. Now I might have just done one and then copied and pasted it once I got finished, but whatever. So now that I have my 4 additional pages here, I'm going to go here. I know that I'm going to need a wrapper and a menu here and a main. So I'm going to start just by copying this top bit of code here. I don't want to copy all this paragraphs nonsense. So I'm just going to start by copying the top bit here with the wrapper, the menu div, and the opening tag for the main div. Copy that. And then I'm going to go to page 2, change the heading to page 2, and then paste. Right. So I have wrapper and menu at the top. I have my menu here. And then I have the opening tag for main. I can't forget to put the closing tag for main, right? I want to make sure I put that closing tag. Okay. Now, the links are not going to be correct here, right? Because remember, now I'm inside the HTML folder. When you change locations, your links need to adapt to the new location. So here I am in page 2. If I want to go back to home, right, to the index, I can't just say index because index is not here in the same folder. I have to tell it to come out of the current folder, right? To go out of the current folder, that's where the index is. To do that, I put a dot slash in front of index. That says come out of the current folder. We're in page 2. So we need to get out of the current folder and go to the index. Page 2 is the same page as the page we're working on, right? This is page 2. So if I'm linking to page 2, which is itself, I don't need to tell it which folder to look into because it's the same file and in the same folder. The same for page 3, 4, and 5. They're all in the same folder. So I don't need to tell it to go to the HTML folder because we're already there. So I can just get rid of the HTML of the other links. So that is the way the menu is going to look for page 2. And in fact, that's the way it's going to look for the other 3 pages as well, 3, 4, and 5. So let me save that. So I've changed page 2. I've changed the menu. Might as well go ahead and look at it and see if it works. The link works. Yep, here I am in page 2 now. I don't have any other content yet, but it worked, right? All right. So if we looked at my requirements, I wanted you to put the 5 links, which we've got here, primary heading, and an image. All right, so H1 for my primary heading, I'm just going to be really boring here and put page 2. And then I want to put an image. So I'll use the src attribute for my image. My images, recall, are in my images folder. Right? I'm currently looking at page 2. This is page 2, which is in the HTML folder. So if I want to tell it to go look for an image in my images folder, I first want, just like I did when I wanted to look for the index, I have to tell it to come out of the current folder. So I'm coming out of the current folder, which is the HTML folder. Then to look for images, I have to say, go look in the images folder. So I type images. And then a slash, and then the name of one of my images. My images are called, wrong one. Forest 1, Forest 2, Forest 3, Forest 4. So forest 1.jpg. Okay, let's see if that works. And there we go, page 2 and an image. Okay, so that's what's in my main div. And so I have my wrapper, and inside my wrapper, I have the menu, and then followed by the main div. And then the closing div for my wrapper. Notice there's 2 closing divs here, right? This one is for the main div, and this one is for the wrapper. Now, my other 3 pages, page 3, page 4, and page 5, look basically the same as this. So, because I'm lazy, I don't, and I know this works, right, already, right? I know this is working. I don't have any mistakes here. So I'm going to just copy and paste this and make the few changes, like the title and the heading, right? That's pretty much all I'm going to need to change, and the image. So I'll save all this, and then I'm just going to copy it, all of it, all this code. And then I'm going to go to page 3 and paste it. The only things that need to change, since this is page 3, I need to change the title and the primary heading. And I need to change the image. So I click on page 3, and there we go, page 3 in a different image. Okay, let's do page 4, same way. I don't need to copy again, I've already copied, and I'm going to go to page 4 now and paste all that code again. This is page 4, so I put page 4 here and page 4 here, and a different image here. Super simple. Now this is page 3, but I want to check page 4, so I click on page 4, there we go. Page 4, different image. One more to go, page 5 over here. Paste my code again. Put page 5 here. Page 5 there. And this is going to be the 4th image. Okay, page 5. Voila. So we should have functioning menu at the top that looks the same on all the pages. So click around on your links, make sure they work. Make sure they all work. That's really important. If you have some issues with any of them working and can't figure it out, just let me know. Y'all doing okay? So quiet. Yeah. Oops, why is that there? Make sure I didn't put that in all my pages. Yep. Do that. Okay. Since everybody seems to be doing fine, I guess the next step here, now that we've got basically the website, functioning website, right? But it's really boring. So why don't we add a little bit of color and such to it? So I need to create a CSS file for it. So I'm going to go to my CSS folder here and right click and choose new file. And as always, I'll start with the HTML and body. I'm going to set the background color. Let's make it black. Now, when we make it black, the only thing we're going to end up, we're not going to be able to see anything else, the text that's black. That's just temporary. So I'm going to save the file once I do that into my CSS folder. I'm going to call it styles.css. Okay. And it color codes it as I want, tells me everything's good. And the next thing I need to do then is if I want to check to see if this is working on my index here, I'm looking at the index over here. Then I'm going to go to my index here and add that link, right? The link tag. Link equals style sheet, and then href equals css styles.css. Okay, that should turn my background black, which it does. Now we can't see anything else. The text is still there. We just can't see it because it's black on black. All right, now that I know that that's functioning, go back to my CSS folder. I'm going to temporarily style the background color of my wrapper, as I've done before. So wrapper. Let's make it a dark gray. About and I'm also going to, well, let's save that. Let's look at it first. There we go. Now we can see the wrapper. Let's give it a width as we've done. And then let's center it. Okay. A couple of other things I want to do here. I want to make sure that the wrapper extends from top to bottom, not just ends where the content is, but goes all the way to the bottom of the browser window. So to do that, I put height 100% for HTML and body, and height 100% for the wrapper. And there we go. I also want to get rid of that little bit of margin space here between the wrapper and the edge of the browser. Eventually, I'll space it out in a different way so that my menu at the top is not right up against the edge of the browser window. But for the time being, I want to get rid of that little bit of space there. So I'm going to go to my body section here and put margin 0. Okay, now if we recall, in the HTML, we have two other divs with IDs, right? We have the menu and the main. So how about we style those as well? Just I don't usually style all the divs with different colors and stuff. This is just so that we can make them visible and see how they look. So I'm going to style the menu first. I'm going to put background color. Let's put it at even let's say it doesn't really matter because I'm going to change it anyway. So let's put it a lighter gray. So let's make it A. There we go. I do want to put a bit of margin there at the above and below. So I don't want to put the margin at 0. I want to put margin a little bit above the links and a little bit below the links. So margin, do I want to do padding? Let's do padding instead. Well, I'll show you, we'll compare the difference. So margin, if I want margin on the top and the bottom, but not on the sides, margin there's 4, right? So we have top, left, bottom, right. So think of it in clockwise. We start at the top, we go to the, so right, and then we go to the bottom, and then we go to the left. So if I want margin at the top, let's say I don't know, maybe I'll change this eventually, but let's say I want 15 pixels at the top. So that's always the first number. For the right, I don't want any, so I put 0. The bottom, might as well put, let's say 15 pixels there as well. And then 0 for the left. So what that's going to do is put space above and below this, right? That pushes not just the menu down, but also the wrapper. That's a kind of funny thing that HTML and CSS does, but I don't really want that to happen. I want to push the menu down inside the wrapper. I don't want to push both the menu and the wrapper down. So I'm not going to use margin. I'm going to use what's called padding. Margin is around the outside of an object. Padding is on the inside of an object. Like a padded cell, right? So padding, if I put padding there, that's what happens. And that's what I want to space it out above and below. Okay. Now let's do main. Also temporary background color. Now for this one, I want to put more padding on all four sides. A little bit of padding on all four sides, but not a ton, just so that it's not right against the boundary. So padding, let's say, I don't know, 5 pixels. If it's all four sides, I can just type one number. If all four sides get the same amount of padding, then it's just a number, one number instead of all four. Okay. And we'll do more, but I want to go ahead and connect this CSS to the other pages as well before I continue. So let's go to the index momentarily. I'm going to copy the link here, so I don't have to type it all. And I'm going to go to my page 2, and I'm going to paste it. Keep in mind, we have to change the href, right? Everything else is the same. I should put, since it's inside the HTML folder and I'm telling it to go look in the CSS folder, we first have to come out of the HTML folder. That's for page 2. So since 3, 4, and 5 are the same as page 2, I'm going to copy this again. And then go to page 3, paste. Page 4, paste. And page 5, paste. So 2, 3, 4, and 5 will have the same exact href. The different one will be index because it's not in the same folder. Okay. So let's check our links here. Make sure that other pages have CSS. They do. Excellent. The only difference is the images are hanging out the edges, right? We can deal with that. Moment. All right, so we got those to work. Excuse me. I'm going to go back to my index. Style this text a little bit. Okay. Let's see, H1. Now, I want to take the background colors of these off eventually. So I'm going to make the colors here of the heading and subheading first, and then remove the background colors. So let's see, font family. I'm just going to be boring. I'm going to keep doing the same one I've been doing. We'll do web fonts in the next class. Oh, and color. I want to make it a green color. That's think that's pretty close to what I want. Go to page 2, see how that looks. Yeah, pretty good. All right. Now I'm going to take off the background colors of the divs, except for the menu for now. I'm going to take the background color off the main div and the wrapper div. So the wrapper is going to get none here. And the main is going to get none for now. Next, H2. Let's basically do all the same, just change the size and color. It's too big. So a little bit darker. So like I'll leave it at that. I don't care. Right, and then the p tag. Okay, let's check the other pages. Yep, so far so good. How about we size the image next? So, this is going to get bigger as page gets bigger, smaller as it gets smaller. How's that so far? That work for y'all? Did I go too fast?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay. Now you'll notice there's a bit of repetition here. Since I'm using, it's often the case that we don't use exactly the same fonts for everything. But if there's a default font, right, where almost everything is the same font, like in my case, everything is the same font. Now, for graphic designers, you often pair fonts together where you have one font for one set of things and another font that's different, but they go together. So you might have two, possibly three fonts in a single page. But usually there's a default font that most of the text is that font. If that's the case, we can set that in the code here. So I don't have to keep typing font family and blah, blah, blah. I don't have to keep typing the same thing over and over again. So since all of my code, all of my page has the same exact font, then what I'm going to do is copy this line where I'm indicating the font for H1, H2, and the P. And I'm going to put that up here. And then I can delete it from here. I don't have to repeat myself. So I put it for HTML body as my default font. And I can take it out of the other places because it's just going to be used wherever I have text as my default font. So nothing is really going to change here. Now, if I want to specify a font, like I might do for the links here, then I can do that. But if I don't say which font it is in any of my tags that style the text, any of my rules that style the text, then it automatically will take that default font unless I specify. Okay, so we've got the text, we've got the images in the different pages. How about we style the links now up at the top? And also this link here, right? That's a sort of a unique one. Okay. So let's style the links in the menu. So I am going to put the styles for the links in the menu here underneath the ID style for the menu. I don't have to, but I like to keep things organized, similarly to the way they're organized in the page. Okay, so let's see, where do I want to start? How about, let's just, for the hell of it, choose a different font. So I'm gonna do the A tag and have it be a different font. Excuse me. I want it to be, let's say, Futura. Oops, I guess I have to put font family first. Futura. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, if you're doing, there's a kind of similar one. It's not really that similar. And if you don't have that, maybe we'll choose impact and then some again. Okay. Now remember, there are those link states as well. But I want to treat these as, I want to be able to space my links apart from each other and give them background colors and stuff like that. But the A tag is an inline tag, so I can't give inline tags widths and heights and such. I've given the divs widths and heights. I can actually give any block tag a width and a height, but I can't for inline tags. So in order to space these guys out, I can't do that by giving widths and heights. I can show you if I wanted the A tag to have a width, say width 100 pixels, which is a lot. nothing is going to happen because it doesn't affect inline tags. However, if I say made my P tag with a width of 100, which is a block tag, which I can do that. I'm going to take this off. This is just a test. If I put 100 pixels for the P tag, we'll see something entirely different. It makes my paragraphs only 100 pixels wide. So it works for block tags like P, H1, H2, and div, but it doesn't for inline tags like the A tag. So what does that mean? Well, I want to try and make my A tags behave in the same way as the block tags like P and H1 and H2. Okay, so how do I do that? Well, let's give them a background color first. Temporarily, I'm going to take this off too. So now my links up here and here are going to have a background color. Again, that's just temporary for now. I mean, they will have a background color, but in a different way in a moment. Now I want them to behave like they're blocks, so I can add a width and a height to them. It's because you see that these are not, I can put 600 here, right? Make it super wide and nothing is going to happen to those block tags, to those inline tags. Okay, so how do I do that? I tell them to behave as if they're block tags. Like this. Then they're automatically going to get this width too. The problem with that is when something behaves like a block tag, they automatically line up one above the other, even if there's space next to them. So what I want, and even that link did the same thing, notice, right? It made everything else go on the line below it. That's because it's behaving like a block, and no, it got the 100 width, right? I could change that to 200 if I wanted. Right, it got wider. I can change the width of them now, but they all line up vertically, one on top of the other, instead of keep in line horizontally. So there's another option besides block. We could do inline or block, or we could do a kind of combination, which is called an inline block. Let me put this back to 100. So now they're lining up side by side to each other. They don't fit yet, but they're lining up side by side in a block. Still in blocks, we were giving them widths, but we need to make them fit, right? Okay, so let's say we want them, I think 100 pixels wide is a pretty good width. We can make it a little bit less. Let's say 80. Let's see what happens when we do that. So that's a pretty good width too. Great. So let's see. Now the problem is that if I make it small, too small, they start to line up on top of each other like that, right? Which let's say I don't want that to happen. So I want the width of my wrapper to be no smaller than this, right? If it's no smaller than this, then my links are not gonna, the blocks of my links are not gonna double up, right? They're not gonna go on the next line like this. So I can set what's called a minimum width, right? A minimum width to my wrapper. So I have the width, which is set to 60% of the browser window. But if my browser window gets really small, then the links start to line up on top of each other like this, which I don't want. I don't like the way that looks. So I can set a minimum width here as well. It's called min width. And let's say, well, I have to test this out. I don't know exactly how wide that is. It's probably something like since these are each 80 pixels and there's 5 of them, that means it's at least 400, let's say 420. Let's see what happens when I put 400 here. I think it's going to be too small. So minimum width is 400. So it still allows 1 to go down. So let me make it 420. So 420 is not going to get any smaller than 420. At some point, it can get bigger than 420, right? So then it's 60% of the browser window. But if I get too small, it stops at 420. And it doesn't get any smaller than that. And that way, these guys don't line up, right? They don't go to the next line. Okay, let's also center that text inside. The block. Okay. Awesome. Now, I see another problem here. Now, it doesn't look horrible, but this guy, I don't think this is a different kind of link, right? This is a link that's in the body of my paragraph. These are my primary navigation, right? This is a primary navigation that navigates to the pages. This is a different link. It's in the body of the paragraph. And I don't think I want them to be styled the same way. These are the most important links. This is a kind of secondary link, right? This is the main ones. It allows me to navigate from one page to the next. So I can create a kind of hierarchy, right? The most important links and then other links, right? But I don't want them to look the same because this is the most important stuff. So how do I distinguish between these links and those links? Well, these links are in the menu. These are not. This is not. So if I only want to style the links that are in the menu in a particular way, then I have to say the links that are in the menu. So this is how I'm styling my links right now, but it's styling both the links in the menu and the links that are in the paragraph, right, in the body text. But I only want to style the links in the menu. So instead of just the A here, I put menu A. That will tell me only those links that are in the menu are to be styled this way. So when I save that and reload, suddenly this goes back to the way it was originally. Those still remain the same. All right, we are gonna style those links though. We're gonna do some more, so I'll show you how we do that. So, but I do want to add some padding to those blocks with the links in there. So how about we put padding? I only want to add padding to the top and the bottom. So 5 pixels 0, 5 pixels 0. That's a little bit better. I also want to get rid of that background color for the menu, the gray. So I'm going to put for the menu here, right, to get rid of that gray, I put none there. Okay. Next, I want these links to be a bit interactive, right? Like we did on Tuesday. When we mouse over it, I want it to change colors. So that means I need to activate the different link states, and I'll do exactly pretty much the same thing I did on Tuesday here. Once again, this time I'm styling, I'm going to style all the links again. I mean, just the links in the menu. So menu, and then a link, and menu, a visited. I'm going to change the color of the text. I'm going to change the background color of that. And I want to get rid of that underline. So the color of the text. Okay. Let's see. Color. So I want it to start out, say, really light green. So a this, I'm going to add some more in a second. There we go. I'm going to change that background color in a bit, but there we go. Okay, now I want to do when I mouse over and click on it. So that is menu a active for when I click on it, and menu a hover for when I mouse over it. Oops. So color, when I mouse over it and click on it, it's going to be, say, let's turn it black. Text is under. Okay. So that means it's this green color when it's just sitting there, and when I mouse over it, it turns black with an underline. I'm also going to modify the background color, right? So when I mouse over it, it changes to a different background color and so on. Okay. But that means that I have to take out the background color here. I'm going to put none there. Actually, I would just take it out altogether. So in the menu A, not the menu A link or menu A active, but in the menu A, I'm going to remove that background color thing. And I'm going to put it here. It starts out as green. How about we just make it a dark gray? So let's see. Get even darker. If it doesn't work, we'll try it. And then background. Let's say, how about that purplish color? It's kind of nice, but a little bit lighter. So that's going to be too bright, but we'll see. So this is going to be the background color when it's just sitting there. And this is going to be the background color when I mouse over or click on it. Let's see. So this gray, when it's just sitting there, when I mouse over it, it turns to that purplish color, which I think is fine. So I change the text to black and the background color to purple when I mouse over it, and it goes gray and green when I'm just letting them sit there. That's pretty good. And let's see if it works in the other pages. It does, same thing. Did that work for y'all? We're almost done, actually. We're gonna end shortly and take a break. Did that work for everybody?
Yeah.
Anybody who's having issues or behind or anything? Wow, I only see one person's face. Thank you very much, Suk. The rest of you, I don't know if you're there, but okay. Sometimes feel like I'm talking just to my computer. Eventually my computer is going to start talking back to me.
I'm here. Good.
Okay. Now the last thing I want to do before we take a break is I just want to style the link here in the body text, right in the main section. So I've styled the links that are in the menu, and I'm just going to do something super simple. So in the main, I'm going to style that link there. Also main, all I want to do is change, the color so that it changes color. So a link, main, a visited. So color, I don't mind it that purple color, but I want it a little bit lighter because it's a bit dark to me. So how about we have it the same color here as the background color. And then next. None. Right, so let's see what that looks like. So took out the underline and made it a little bit brighter. Let's put a bit of blue in there. How about the less red? There we go. I like that a bit better. Okay. Now let's do when we mouse over, and then we'll be done. Make it magenta. Okay. Go. Mouse over, turns a brighter pinkish magenta color with an underline. Okay. Look at this purple and green thing going on, I guess. Okay. We did a bit more than we did on Tuesday. We've created something that looks like a menu, right? A real menu. Spaced it out, given it different fonts, and we styled two different kinds of links. One that's in the menu, and we're able to differentiate between the menu links and the links in the main section, right? So main and menu. So we can add a bit more style to the page that way, pages. Okay, let's take a 15-minute break, and then we'll come back and we'll jump into something else actually. And then I'll let you go. I think I'm gonna let you go a little bit early today. We'll see. I'm not sure. All right, so 15 minutes. It's about 1/4 right now. So we'll start a little bit after 11:30. How's that? Good. All right, I'll see y'all shortly.
God. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody. Y'all still there?
Yep.
Everybody there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay, I know two of you are.
Yeah.
Um,
Here.
awesome. So we're gonna switch gears a little bit and do something else. So we that was a bit of a review, right? But we added a few more things from Tuesday and made it and dressed it up a bit more. So now I want to explore a little bit more this idea of div tags and positioning them on the page, and how we can like have more of them. So first off, we're going to use the same folder, but we're just going to add a couple pages that are not linked to that site. They're going to be separate pages. So the site we just made, I mean. So let's see, I'm going to go, I'm just going to put them in the HTML folder. And they're just going to be like separate pages altogether. So let me share my screen. So I'm going to copy my template again. Sharing my screen again. So I'm copying my template. I'm going to go back to the tutorial 4 folder into the HTML folder and paste my template there again. So there's that template I just pasted. So I'm going to call this, let's say, we're going to play around with divs and IDs. So I'll call it div example 1. Just to be different. You can name it whatever you like. And then I'm going to duplicate that and call it div example 2. So div example 1 and div example 2. We're not going to link these to anything. This is just for me to show you some things we can do with the different div tags. So this is my div example 1, just the template code. So I'll change the title. So once again, this is not going to be like part of a web page. This is just me explaining or showing you a little bit about how to position divs. We'll be doing more of this in the classes to come. So there's lots we can do with divs, and so yeah, I encourage you to look it up to figure out different ways of positioning things and such, and which is going to be very useful to us. We're not going to need a wrapper for this one, so I'm going to take out the wrapper. Again, this is kind of just a demo. Okay, and I'm going to have 3 divs here with 3 different IDs. So ID equals, I'll just call them 1, 2, and 3. Oops, didn't do that. Okay, so we have 3 divs. And they're called 1, 2, and 3. Now, in order for these to show up, so if I open up div example 1 now, nothing's there, right? I mean, we haven't put any content. It's not even connected to the CSS or anything like that. So we just have a white page. It does say the title at the top, div example 1, but nothing, right? Else. Oops. So I want to make sure first that I attach this to the CSS. I'm actually going to create a different CSS file for this because this page is not going to participate with that other website we created before. So it's going to get a totally different CSS. So inside of my CSS folder, well, first I want to right click on the CSS folder here and create a new file. And what am I going to call this? I'll call this, what do I call it? Let me save it. What do I want to call it? Div, I'll just be boring. Call it div styles1.css. And the other one will be div styles 2. All right. Div styles1.css. I'll style the background color of the whole thing. So HTML body, background color, let's make it black again. Now I haven't connected this CSS yet to this page that I just made. So I have, once I type in those styles, even if I save and reload, nothing happens, right? So I have to go to the HTML for this page in order for those styles, that style, right, the background color, and to show up. So back to the HTML. And create that link. href equals, and it's called div styles1.css. Remember, we're in the HTML folder, so I first have to come out of the current folder, so .. And then CSS, because I'm going into the CSS folder, and then div styles1.css is what I named the file. There we go. Now it's black. So it means my CSS is connected. So far, so good. Y'all got it connected? Y'all don't never ask questions. You never stop me. I never know where y'all are. This is an unusual class.
I'm okay.
Oh, okay, fine. Okay, so we have the CSS connected because I can see the background color, right? Background color is black. That's the way it should be. Now, in my HTML, I have these three IDs, right? With the divs, 1, 2, and 3. We're going to style those in a different way than we've been styling. And so just to demonstrate what else we can do with divs and IDs. All right, so now I'm also going to begin showing you for both the CSS and the HTML how to create like notations for yourself so that you know what the code is doing, and also so that other people, when they look at your code, will know what you're trying to do or what you're doing, so they don't have to read through all the code and try to figure it out. You can just tell them. We call these comments. And to type comments in CSS, we just type a slash and then an asterisk. And here, what I'm going to do with the first div, the first ID, is I'm going to create an orange square. So I'm going to put orange square here so that I know what this code is going to make ultimately. Now, this marks the comment, that what follows is the comment, and this is the end of the comments. Now, this is not code. The browser doesn't even read comments. It's for the viewers, for us, right? So we look at this and we can say, oh, that's what this next code is going to be doing, right? Also, you can comment out code. Like if you have code and you wanted it to work, but it's not working, you can comment it out. So it's different from deleting. It's leaving the code there, but not enacting it, right? Not letting it be active. All right, so orange square is going to be with the one ID, so 1. If it's going to be a square, then both the width and the height are going to be the same. And let's see, how about width? I don't know, 300 pixels. And then height, 300 pixels. We want it to be orange. Then background color, something like that. I guess I had to put that pound sign now. Hashtag. All right. We got an orange square there. Now, it has that default margin of a few pixels, right? So I'm going to get rid of that. That's up here in HTML body. 0. Okay. Now, by default, whatever you make first is going to be in the top left corner. We can think of that as the origin, right? The 0, 0 position, where X, right, is horizontal position and Y is the vertical position. But we don't call them X and Y in CSS, unfortunately. We call it, it's basically the distance from the left and the distance from the top. So I want to reposition the square some distance from the left and some distance from the top. Well, that's a very particular way of positioning. We've already seen that if we wanted to center it, right, we could do margin 0 auto. That'll automatically center it. But that's not how I want to position it. I want to be more specific about the positioning. It's distance from the left and distance from the top. So I'm going to comment out this code. Oops. I don't want to delete it, right? But it deactivates it. So when I run it, right, it goes back to the upper left. So I want to position it some distance from the top and some distance from the left. So, okay, so let me try that. Some distance from the top. So I put top, and let's say I want it to be, I don't know, 150 pixels from the top. And from the left, I don't know, 300 pixels, let's say. But nothing happens. That's because I haven't told the browser that I want to position it in this way. Because there's multiple ways of positioning. And by positioning it in this way, we call it absolute positioning. It's an absolute number of pixels, an absolute number of pixels from the top, and an absolute number of pixels from the left. There are other ways of positioning, which we'll experiment with another time. So if I want to be positioning these for absolutely with a very specific set of number of pixels, then I call that position absolute. And now it's 150 pixels from the top and 300 pixels from the left. Okay. Now, the one of the downfalls with absolute positioning is no matter how big your window is, it's going to be set at that number of pixels. It doesn't, it is not going to change when you change the browser window. We could make it change when we move the browser window, but in order to do that, we would have to use JavaScript. So JavaScript, we can dynamically set the positioning and base that on the size of the browser window if we want, using absolute positioning. But without JavaScript, when we're using absolute positioning, it's going to be stuck right here, right at this number of pixels. Okay, let's do 2 and 3. And how about we make 2 into a green rectangle? Like that. Yeah, that's fine. Well, before I even position it, let's just look at that. All right, green rectangle, top left corner, before I position it, right? It automatically will go to the top left corner. And I'm going to be positioning this by a set number of pixels, so it's absolute. 50 pixels, left, 350 pixels. Now, using this sort of positioning, we can make them overlap, as you can see here. All right, so let's do 3. Okay. So we have three IDs here, right? With that's positioning these three rectangular shapes and giving them different colors and widths and heights. We can also rearrange the stacking order if we like, right? By default, the stacking order is whatever we type first is on the bottom, right? So that was our first one, so that's the orange one. Then it draws the second one here, and then it draws the third one. So because it's drawing one after another, we draw the orange one, then the green one, and then the yellow one, because that's the last one we indicated here in our code. But we can have it rearrange those in a different stacking order if we like. To make it rearrange in a different stacking order, we call that the z-index. If we think of this as the horizontal positioning as x, the vertical position as y, then the stacking order, which is kind of like coming out of the screen, right? That's z. So we call this the z-index of the layers or the way the divs are stacked on top of each other. So let's say I want my z-index for the 1 to be 3. And for 2, I want it to be 2. And for 3, I want it to be 1, right? So the reverse order. So I forgot, I got rid of my semicolon there, messed it up. So we see it puts the orange one on top, right? Because I gave it the higher z-index. The higher the z-index, it goes on top of everything, right? Well, let's say I want that one to be at the bottom. So I'm going to put that one at 1. And this one at 3. And this one at 2. So the green one is now on top. That's this one right here, because it has 3. The higher the number is, it's going to be up higher or stacked on top of all the others. Okay. Okay. I think we did a lot today. I'm not going to do the last page. I'll cover that in the next class. I will put, well, yeah, and all of this code and of course the video of the Zoom will be online and Brightspace as the other stuff is already. So I think that's enough, more than enough for one day. And what you have here, I think, is more than enough also to do the homework. If you have problems with the homework, I actually think this homework is maybe one of the more difficult ones. So if you have problems, please make sure you talk to me or send me an email or send me a message on Discord or talk amongst yourselves to see if you can solve this. Okay. So see what you can do. Make sure that you contact me or somebody, talk to each other to try to help each other through this homework. Like I said, I think it might be one of the more challenging ones. It's also maybe one of the more artistic ones as well. So give it a shot. And if you have trouble, if you get stuck, let me know. Okay. Yeah, that's more than enough. If you have any questions or want to talk to me, feel free to stay. Otherwise, have a good weekend. It's going to be sunny today and tomorrow, but rainy on the weekend. So enjoy the next couple days.
Bye.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Yeah, bye.
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 Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
a question. Yeah. Uh, I let your message comment.
Okay.
Yeah, about the proposal.
What I don't remember what I said. I know it was this morning, but I already forgot.
Uh, about the project proposal.
Yeah, but
Yes.
what did I say?
Let me see.
Can you
So-
remind me?
Let me see.
I'll look too while you're looking.
Uh, yeah. Actually, I misunderstood about the project. So you told me like it will be non-linear.
Hold on a second. Somebody's at my door. Hold on just a second.
Okay.
Who is it? All right. Sorry about that.
Yeah. I looked it at the chatting on Zoom. Yeah.
So proposal. I'm going to look. Hold on a second. Right, because you were wanting to make the portfolio, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I would want you to do is, I mean, there's no real rush on this. So I do, I mean, I think it would be in your best interest to do it as quickly as possible, but because the sooner you start, the better. You can start working on it. But go ahead and I mean, I like the idea of a portfolio, but it doesn't quite fit into this project, right? So I so try thinking about some kind of narrative.
Narrative.
A narrative can be anything, right? Almost, right? You can tell a story about you if you want to. You can tell a story. So it can be a true story or it can be a fictional story. You can do it with pictures only, with images or both, or videos, whatever, however you want to do it. So, but it needs to have options
Yeah.
that the viewer can click on so
Yeah.
that if I choose this way, then the narrative goes in that direction. If I click on this other thing, then the narrative goes in a different direction, right? So that each time I look at it, maybe I go a different path.
Mm,
That makes sense?
okay. So yeah. Okay.
Now,
uh,
the reason I showed that portfolio side of that artist is mainly because of the way it looks, right? It looks
okay.
like a computer, and they made it look like a computer screen.
Uh,
Right? And so and I think that could be an interesting way. Imagine, for example,
hmm,
like you could do it a kind of portfolio site if you wanted, but I think there should be some kind of story embedded in it,
yeah.
in which there's the computer screen. Let's say I'm a detective, or I don't know, I'm somebody who's spying on you and I get your computer and I think you're like uh or maybe I'm a stalker or a spy and I think you're a spy and I go into your computer and I try to find out information about you, right? And so that is about a way of kind of creating a narrative, right? So though there can be different like emails and files and images that can tell a story.
Okay.
So think about what kind of story or narrative are you going to tell?
Uh, okay.
Okay.
So yeah, actually, I asked to ChatGPT for
Okay,
yeah,
good.
yeah.
I
So
do that in my other classes. I ask them to engage in in AI for to help them. So that's great. Did you
yeah.
get good ideas?
Oh yeah, it listed like this. It's in the chatting.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Is there anything I shouldn't choose here?
Uh, let's see. Well, so parallax scrolling is complicated.
Okay.
I wouldn't worry about that.
Okay, I realize.
So dynamic filtering, I don't even know what that is. To implement dynamic for displaying content, users can select different filters or criteria. Well, that's also a JavaScript thing. That's something we're going to do something like that. So those last two in particular, the last three with randomized content, those are things we're going to do with JavaScript. So let's see, mind map layout. Arrange your website content in a mind map like structure. Each node in the mind map represents a different page or section, and users can navigate freely between the, I mean, that's possibility. Like I can imagine that. Like I've had people do like something I'm going to show you. I think I'm going to show you in the next class.
Yeah.
Is it the next class? I can't remember. Where you have like something called an image map, and you can click on different areas of an image,
Yeah.
and it takes you to a different page.
Okay.
Okay. So that's something, that's the way I'm thinking of this mind map is suggesting. Branching menus. I mean, what I'm mostly interested in is that the user has options. And it's not just you telling one straight story, but at a certain point, you can give the users options of where to proceed, right? This or that, right? Okay.
Okay.
So like interactive storytelling in particular, or game style narration, either of those would kind of be interesting and work.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna email you or Discord you.
So just go ahead and so send me either a message on Discord or email telling me you're ready.
Yeah.
When you're ready to submit, and I'll open it in Brightspace for you. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
No problem.
Have a good weekend.
You too. If you have questions, let me know. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.